Highlight the support measures the government has put in place to respond quickly for our farmers and processors so that they have the support they need during this difficult time. With the additional measures, support for 2020-21 are approximately $2.8 billion. As we know, COVID-19 caused a sudden shock to our food system. I care very deeply for producers, business owners, workers in the food and agri-food sector who are facing struggles caused by this pandemic. And I'm thinking particularly about our young producers and the stress that this unprecedented situation has caused for them and their families. For livestock producers who are facing volatile prices, for fruit and vegetable growers who are facing market losses due to restaurant closures. But there have also been some positive signals in the sector. The demand and export of grains and oilseeds and pulses has increased. We're having record months for movement of grain by rail. Our slaughter capacity is normalizing and helping to clear the backlog. Since the pandemic began, the government has begun rolling out supports as fast as possible for our farm families and processors. And this support represents over $1.25 billion. First, our government created the Canadian Emergency Business Account, which delivers over $2.6 billion to 67,000 farmers across the country. With a $10,000 forgivable amount of a $40,000 interest-free loan, that translates into $670 million in direct support to Canadian farm families. In order to help producers face financial strains, we put in place for the advance payment program, $173 million, and we've increased the lending capacity of the Farm Credit Canada by $5 billion. Access to workers continues to be a challenge across the country. Temporary foreign workers continue to arrive on a weekly basis. So far, 80% of workers have arrived compared to last year, but a lot of work remains to be done. Employers are using our $50 million program to cover the costs associated with the quarantine period for these workers, a period which is mandatory. We were all deeply saddened about the death of 2 foreign temporary workers in Ontario, as well as the many others who've fallen sick. Our top priority is to keep workers safe, and will continue to work together with employers and local health authorities. The supplementary estimates also cause the 77.5 Emergency Processing Fund, which will help food processors adjust their operations to keep workers safe. It will also help us optimize and modernize facilities to reopen beef plants, for example. We've also increased funding for the Canadian Food Inspection Agency by $20 million to ensure ongoing inspection services to keep food safe for Canadians and for our export markets. To get more young Canadians working in the sector, we announced $9.2 million under the Youth Employment and Skills Strategy Program, which will fund up to 700 new positions in the agriculture industry.
Improvements to the business risk management. We also made improvements to the business risk management programs available to producers. Yes, there is more to be, but one of my messages to farmers continues to be, these are important tools and please make use of them. Usually, these programs provide $1.6 billion a year in direct support to our producers. This year, it could be over $2.2 billion, including potentially doubling the paying out for agri-stability. Most provinces have now signed up to increasing the interim agri-stability payment to 75%. In Alberta, for example, the province estimates this could result in $20 per head for pork producers. We have extended the enrollment period of agri-stability to July 3rd, and we encourage producers to apply. Canadian agricultural producers have almost $2.3 billion in their Agri-Invest accounts, a self-managed producer government savings account designed to help producers manage small income declines and make investments to make risk and improve market income. The average producer has close to $25,000. Horticulture producers have an average of about $25,000. Grains and oilseeds producers, $33,000, and potato producers, $93,000. We also took leadership in announcing our commitment to the Agri-Recovery Initiative, committing the entire $125 million and changing the program so that producers would benefit from the federal assistance, whether the provinces choose to participate or not. It's encouraging to see some provinces, such as Alberta and Saskatchewan, made announcements of their contribution to agri-recovery. Indeed, our partnerships with the provinces and territories has become even stronger during the pandemic. We've met weekly and are partnering on meat inspections, business risk management programs, and much more. Lastly, we have really taken the challenges of Canadians' food security to heart. Since the pandemic hit, we have given $100 million to support our national food bank and food networks. The supplementary estimates include $75 million helping food aid organizations serve vulnerable Canadians during the crisis. To give you an example, thanks to $170,000 in federal funding, the Unemployment Help Center in Windsor, Ontario has been giving out emergency food hampers to families in need. And yesterday, we launched a second call for proposal of the Local Food Infrastructure Fund to help local food organizations invest in larger projects up to $250,000. The second application intake will build on the success of our first round of projects, which have helped communities across Canada. And lastly, the estimate includes $50 million to help local food organizations access local surplus food to serve vulnerable Canadians. We have made good progress, but there's much more to be done. Mr. Chair, I know our agriculture and agri-food sector will be a key driver of leading the economic recovery of our nation and to continue supporting the prosperity of our rural communities and our national economy. Thank you.
Alors, merci, Madame la Ministre. Et maintenant, nous allons...
Thank you, Minister, and we'll now move on to questions. We'll start with Mr. Barlow. You have 6 minutes.
Mr. Chair, and thanks for the Minister for the re-announcement again of other programs on earlier this week. But it's a comment that you made during your press conference that I want to ask you about that we've certainly had a lot of feedback on, and that was your comment on the average cost of the carbon tax costing farmers between $200 and $800 per year. I put a call out to some of the stakeholder groups across the country yesterday and received dozens of comments and bills from producers. And I've got some ranging here from a couple of $1,000s a month to one that's close to $10,000 a month. The CFIB has said that the carbon tax is costing farmers on average $14,000. Where did you get this data that says that the carbon tax is costing farmers between $200 and $800?
Thank you, Mr. Barlow. Well, first, let me say that, remind everyone that our pollution pricing policy is designed to grow a clean economy. And this is something that we really care about. And what we have done in the beginning, was making sure that what was costing the most to the farmers was to be exempted, like emissions from livestock and crop production, which are not priced. Farms' fuels and fuels from cardlock facilities are exempt. And there's a partial rebate for propane and natural gas used in commercial greenhouses. And also, the department has prepared estimates reflecting the federal backstop and using a price of $50 per ton, and this shows an average increase of 0.2% to producers' net operating costs and a decrease of 1% to producers' net operating income due to carbon pollution price. So these are the level, I would say, of data we have. And just to remind you that the Department of Environment is committed to proceed in 2020 to a revision of a review.
No offense, Minister. I appreciate that. You've tried to answer the question. I don't need the history lesson, but how many agriculture stakeholder groups, and I know you've been trying to keep in touch with them through this pandemic, how many agriculture groups have you spoken with have said supported the carbon tax and the increase on April 1st? Have any? Yes or no?
I've spoken to, I can't even count the number of producers I've talked to and their representatives. And the carbon tax is something that is important for the future of our country and the new generation as well.
How many stakeholders, how many producers have you spoken with that have told you that they support the carbon tax and the increase in the carbon tax? I
can't give you a clear answer.
I think because the answer is none. And I think you know that if you felt differently, I think you'd be able to give us an answer. And I just want the fact that you aren't able to answer where you've got this data from that is completely out of touch with what the reality is on the ground. And I've got, as I said, dozens of agriculture producers giving me their bills, and just the ones that I did today, the carbon tax is 10.5% of their revenue, not 0.5%. So I would hope that you're able to back up this data. And when we ask for it, it's not a secret that you feel comfortable sharing us. Minister, I want to change issues now. And we've heard that that agriculture, economic funding, let's say for funding for economic development in agriculture has now been handed over to innovation, science, and economic development. Is that true, yes or no?
I'm not sure I understand what you're talking about, so I doubt it would be true because I should be aware.
Okay, in the estimates, there is a $20 million internal transfer from operating expenditures for grants and contributions to support COVID-related measures to help food processors. What was that initial $20 million budgeted for? It's been transferred from one department for another to deal with COVID. What was that $20 million initially budgeted for?
So we have announced $77.5 million to support the producers face the COVID situation. And the details of the programs will be announced in the coming days. It's almost ready. And the idea behind that is to give some, to support the food processors, put in place measures, physical measures to protect their workers within the plants and also to improve the processing capacity.
Right. My question, Minister, is you keep saying that these programs are new money. This is clearly in just one portion of these programs. This is $20 million that was transferred from one area of Ag Canada to another to cover COVID costs. What was that $20 million initially budgeted to cover is what my question is.
So you're talking about the 20 million that you see that is a supplement of, the available budget that will not be disbursed according to, our first plan, and it will be moved to the what's the name? The CAPC, the Canadian Agricultural Strategic Priority Program, and it's not specifically dedicated to a program yet.
So it's not new money. It's money that's being transferred from one program to the next is basically what it is. But one last question, Minister. In the Local Food Infrastructure Fund, you talked about $5 million over 5 years. But the announcement of this fund was for $100 million, but only $75 million has been allocated in these estimates. And it's split up into 3 areas. Where is the other $25 million?
Quickly, Madame la Ministre.
So we have got $75 million in new money, and $25 million was money that was left available at the end of the fiscal year within the AAF budget.
Thank you, Madame la Ministre and Mr. Barlow. We'll now go to Madame Bissette for 6 minutes.
Oups, attendez. C'est parti.
Okay, here we go. Sorry, I was muted. First of all, I would like to thank the Minister for this announcement that she made yesterday for the Local Food Infrastructure Fund. With the first phase of the program, you have helped a lot of local organizations all over Canada so that we can reinforce local food investments, infrastructure. We will be making an announcement soon, but I know how these projects are needed for food security, but also to reinforce capacities who work in the community and who help vulnerable people. The idea is to reduce food waste, to use this food and to hand it out to the population who live in remote areas. And the fund has been created to meet those needs. Thank you. Could you explain what you announced yesterday? Thank you, Ms. Bissette. You're right next to my riding in the Canton de l'Est, and unfortunately there is a need for those organizations. The Local Food Infrastructure Fund helps out food banks, community gardens. Last year, we launched a first call for proposals up to $25,000 to purchase equipment specifically. There was a second call for proposals that was announced yesterday, and those can reach up to $250 million over a period of 3 years. The idea is to go above the idea of just purchasing equipment and to encourage people to create groups, to create associations with local farmers, with local restaurant owners, and other people in the food chain to implement a structure that will contribute to reduce the need. That is really the objective of our program in the medium term and the long term, to reinforce the food systems that are in place. So infrastructure, equipment, structures, some other expenses, but non-recurrent expenses, because those fall under another program. Thank you very much. Thank you for phase 2. It will really help out communities who need it, particularly during this pandemic. And I would like to clarify something. In the supplementary budget, $75 million is earmarked for the local fund infrastructure fund. Is this an added investment on top of what has already been announced? And if that's the case, how will this money be used? We announced $100 million for food banks, as you will remember, $75 million. That's the amount that you'll find in the estimates. And the other $25 million, that was like a surplus of the former fiscal year from different programs. There were projects that had been delayed, for example. So at the end of the fiscal year, in a budget, when there's a budget of $2.8 million, there's always something that's left over at the end. And so the $25 million were taken from these leftover sums, and then $75 million in new money. Thank you very much. We heard witnesses at the committee representing poultry and potato farming, and they talked about the importance of the surplus food purchase program. So how is that going to work for businesses that have surplus foods, particularly when it comes to poultry? They're happy to learn about this program. Could you tell us why this program is so important for that specific sector? The surplus of food purchase program has $50 million, and the objective is to help our producers financially, to avoid waste, to avoid food waste, but also to help out the most vulnerable. So the criteria for this program will be announced in the upcoming days, and I can tell you that we've had lots of conversations between the department and the various associations that are involved in this. The objective is help these people out, and they will have to be presenting projects for producers who have surpluses, and they'll have to explain where the food will be directed, to what regions, to what association, to what groups. For example, what associations will be able to receive this surplus food. So you talked about $50 million to buy $50 million worth of food. That's a lot of food. What is the government's plan to redistribute this food? You talked about it a little bit, but some businesses have called me to ask me for details. Is there a specific calendar for this program? Well, the details will be announced in the upcoming days. We have been talking about this issue with various associations. We know where the big surpluses are, but we will be asking processors and producers and food banks, northern regions, to get in touch with one another, to be able to have projects where we're sure that this surplus food will be used. Are there issues with packaging? Are there issues with transportation? So that's what we have to do in the upcoming days. Thank you very much.
Apologize that I didn't Just hang on. Do I have it on English? Yeah, okay. I just want to introduce the team with the minister. With the Department of Agriculture, we have Mr. Chris Forbes, Deputy Minister, and also Christine Walker, Assistant Deputy Minister, Corporate Management Branch. And also we have Colleen Barnes, Vice President, Policy and Program, and also Dominique Osterat, Vice President, Chief Financial Officer of Corporate Management. Welcome to all of you, and of course, you'll be staying on for the second hour. Maintenant, nous allons passer à...
Let's now move on to Mr. Perron. You've got 6 minutes. Hello, everyone. Hello, Minister. Hello to the civil servants who are here with us. Madame Bibeau, could you clarify something? What are the new monies in your announcement? Because there were $50 million that had been announced previously for the local food infrastructure fund. Is this $50 million included in what you've announced previously? No, these are two different things. We announced $100 million for food banks. The sound is cutting out, and therefore the quality is not sufficient for interpretation.
Ça s'inscrit dans le Fonds des infrastructures alimentaires locales, qui était un programme inscrit là, dans la politique alimentaire. C'était 50 millions de dollars. Le premier appel de proposition lancé l'année passée a utilisé 6,6 millions. Le deuxième appel de proposition, il reste encore 43,4 millions de disponibles. Donc ça, c'était prévu dans l'enveloppe de la politique alimentaire dans le 134 millions de dollars du budget 2020.
OK. Donc, c'est ça. Donc, ce que je comprends, c'est pas vraiment des...
So this is not new money, if I've understood that properly. I also want to talk about other programs. You probably know about the poll by an independent business that says that only 9% of farmers believe that the programs are sufficient. 48% of farmers are worried about debt, and 40% are worried about the future of their business. When you made the announcements at first, the PM said that it was a first step, that if there was a need for more, he would do more. We believe that more needs to be done immediately. Do you have a date? Can you tell us if these programs will be improved soon?
On continue à travailler sur...
The minister's sound is cutting out, and therefore it is not possible to interpret her.
Moment-là, depuis l'annonce du 77,5 millions pour les surplus, des 2 fois 50 millions pour agri-stabilité, pour les viandes et tout ça, je vous rappelle qu'on a fait des modifications importantes au compte d'urgence pour les entreprises. Et quand on regarde seulement le secteur agricole, ça peut représenter, et là je prends seulement la portion non remboursable, 25% non remboursable, ça peut représenter 670 millions de transferts directs aux producteurs agricoles. Donc, c'est significatif et c'est quelque chose qui est venu par la suite.
OK, mais quand on parle...
So when we talk about changes in the processing sector, the amount is insufficient. It was spent really quickly. What about compensation for beef producers? We heard from people and they said, well, it wasn't enough because they needed a great deal more. So when you say, with all due respect, Minister, that you're working hard, well, that's fine and well, and we believe you that you're working hard. But what people in the field are saying, and everyone we're hearing from, and committee members will agree with me, that the programs simply aren't working. Now, I'm sure that you're aware of the fact that we're going to be picking up work on that issue. We're going to be making some recommendations, and we'd like to have you collaborating because we want to see some movement quickly. I'd also like to give a question to Madame Desbiens for the remainder of my 6 minutes. Good afternoon, Minister and colleagues. Minister, I have a question. I'd like to talk about the future generation of farmers because we're very concerned about our food sovereignty and we focus a great deal on farmers of the future. What new announcements have you made? What do you have for young farmers? The Minister. Well, we're focusing on emergency programs at present to help companies and the various sectors. The most recent announcements have been the young persons program for farmers. That's the most recent one. We're also working with other stakeholders, so we do have programs for young farmers. Yeah, but they're working now. I'm not talking about farmer workers. I'm talking about entrepreneurs. Once again, there are a number of programs available in the department. In economic development, other assistance programs. Now, I could come back with a list, but as part of the emergency measures as a result of COVID, they are broader in application. Well, in closing then, are you concerned? Are we going to be running out of food in the fall? No, we have a privilege of living in Canada, in a country that has a great deal of resources. Processors are very committed. Producers are committed. We've got a good structure. So, no, I'm not afraid that we're going to face food shortages. Maybe limits in terms of variety. Maybe products will be more costly. But we're working on a number of fronts at the same time to protect our producers and to protect the food chain as well. Thank you, Minister. We'll now go to Mr. McGregor for 6 minutes.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and welcome Minister Bibeau back to the committee. Thank you for being here to talk about the supplementary estimates. I wanted to talk to you about, to go back a little bit to the food policy for Canada. Last year, you said that the Advisory Council would be a central piece of this overall food policy because you would bring together that much needed expertise and diversity to address the challenges. And I think the challenges are very great. I think I would like to know, first of all, why have you delayed in putting together the Advisory Council, given that their expertise would be quite valuable at this time?
I mean, because of the COVID crisis, our team are overloaded right now responding to the situation. But yes, the committee expertise will be very useful. And for example, I'm looking forward to make the announcement for my youth council. And I believe that, in the coming weeks or, after the it comes back a little bit more to normal, that we will be able to go forward with that. But I agree with you, these expertise will be welcome.
Can you put a timeline on that, Minister? Because I do understand how much work has been foisted upon your department, but it seems to me that having the Advisory Council there to take on some of the load to present some alternative policy options, especially on what our food system is going to look like in the future, would be quite valuable at this time. Do you have any kind of timeline as to when you want to put this together?
I will say during the summer.
Okay, we'll take you up on that. Thank you very much. I wanted to also talk about the local food infrastructure fund. I know that it's been rejigged a little bit to help a lot of local food security organizations deal with the acute phase of the crisis. It seems to me, though, if we're going to be building resiliency into the system and making sure that our communities are resilient, this is the exact type of funding that communities could need to set themselves up for the long term. Is it your government's intention in the long term to increase funding to this fund so that local communities, especially in rural areas, can have that infrastructure necessary to continue to thrive into the future and to meet those other shocks that are undoubtedly going to come?
I also believe that this type of program will be very helpful to our communities, and we have, $44.6 million available, $43.6 million available in the local food infrastructure program for the second call for proposal, and we will see how it goes, and then I'll have discussions around that if appropriate.
Perfect. The funding, Minister, that you announced to help the cattle industry in particular, maintain their herd stocks, especially given the backlog that we have because of the lack of processing. I've heard from groups in Alberta saying that we're going to have a rolling backlog of up to 375,000 head of cattle going into the future. It's going to collide with the upcoming calf season in the fall. So I guess my question to you is, what is the department's long-term plan? I mean, right now that money seems to be sort of, holding things together for now, but what's the long-term plan to I guess diversify our processing sector? Is your government in talks to make the changes to provincially regulated processing to allow them to process animals across provincial borders? Is that going to be a long-term plan to help us diversify?
I would say that I'm in this position for a bit more than a year now, and this is something that I've also identified very early in my mandate, that we have space for more processing capacity in Canada, and we could take advantage of more value added and even regionally as well, because rural vitality is something that is very important for me, and I believe that we can have more processing facilities throughout the country. But this is not something that can be decided overnight. We would need to have more looking forward to into that such a vision for the future.
Thank you. And this just my final question is continuing on with what my colleague Monsieur Perron said about the business risk management programs. As you know, we are continuing our study, and we're looking forward to presenting your government with our recommendations. But perhaps you could give us a sense of what is your initial position going to be when you talk with your provincial counterparts? Like, what kind of an outcome does the federal government want to see from this? And if you aren't going to get that agreement, are you prepared to take a leadership role and to make sure that these programs are finally responsive to the litany of complaints that we've been hearing?
Oh yes, I really want these programs to be upgraded. We are talking about that each and every week with my provincial counterparts, and our officials are still working on that. And actually, I think the crisis that we are going through will also, unfortunately, but still, give us more evidence in terms of what is working and what is not working, and which one we can reinforce, and the others that we might have, I don't know, to change.
Thank you, Madame the Minister, and thank you, Mr. McGregor. I think we may have to, Madame Bibeau, we seem to have a problem with the connection or your voice there. So we'll just suspend the minute so they can double check. So I'll suspend the meeting for a minute and let the technician work with you to make sure, because apparently the interpretation doesn't come through too good. Because so I'll suspend for now.
was, and I appreciate the technical difficulties, but this was almost a 10-minute delay. I'm hoping that the minister will be able to stay for an additional 10 minutes so everyone gets their 4 rounds. I don't think the officials need the full hour. It's more important that we have an opportunity to ask questions of the minister. So I would just ask the minister, is she able to make up for that lost time to ensure all parties get an opportunity?
I see a nod of the head by the minister. Madame la ministre, est-ce que vous êtes correcte avec aller un petit peu plus long?
You okay with staying 10 more minutes, Minister? We can't hear you. Yes, I'll be staying 10 more minutes. Thank you. So let's try again.
Just hang on, let me get, okay. So, Monsieur Lehoux, allez-y.
Mr. Lehoux, go ahead. You have 5 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can you hear me? Yes, the sound is good. Minister, hello. Thank you for being here today. Thank you. Hello to my colleagues. Minister, you spoke of the $50 million fund for the buyback of surplus food. I spoke with producers, and presently we don't have any specifications, so you spoke of deadlines. We should have more details regarding these deadlines. When will these details be made available to us? For the buyback of this food, for example, what producers will be targeted? We know that it's perishable food items, so time is of the essence. And for food banks, there is one in my own area. It's very important for these food banks to receive this food as quickly as possible. And so, Minister, what are the deadlines? So the program's criteria will be known in the next few days. We already started the work with representatives of concerned sectors, the meat sector, the fruit and vegetable sector, fish sector, and seafood. And so this is an open list, depending on the surplus, but also in the food bank's ability to take in all this food, the groups that will be receiving these surpluses. The quality of sound does not permit interpretation, and so I will have to interrupt service. I will pick up interpretation again once the sound is of better quality. Thank you.
Mais je n'ai pas quand même reçu de date de votre part, Madame la ministre. C'est dans des délais très courts parce que je vous le dis, ça urge au niveau des producteurs, mais comme je vous le dis, au niveau des banques alimentaires aussi. Puis je pense qu'ils sont prêts à recevoir parce que avec tout ce qui s'est vécu dans la pandémie, il y a plusieurs banques là, qui sont de un avec des demandes beaucoup plus importantes de leur côté et de deux, tout le secteur de la distribution ont de beaucoup diminué les quantités qui vont vers les banques alimentaires. Fait que je pense que les deux côtés, là, on est en attente de façon très importante là, et dans des délais très rapides, Madame la ministre. C'est important d'annoncer des budgets. On comprend que ça fait au-delà d'un mois que l'annonce a été faite, mais ça va être important d'annoncer des choses concrètes sur le terrain aussi rapidement.
Alors, je vous rassure, là, c'est une question de quelques jours pour qu'on connaisse les critères, mais déjà, il y a du travail préalable qui a été fait avec les différents groupes.
Un autre sujet, Madame la ministre.
Another topic, the 700 new jobs in the program, this program with the $9.2 million funding. And so we have a hard time finding the details of these programs. And on the ground, I've spoken to producers because they had already filed claims, and we're already mid-June. So these people are waiting for answers from the government to be able to hire the personnel that they need. Some people told me that they had filed claims and have not gotten a response. And so you announced the $9 million and the 700 jobs, but we have no details. Sound quality at the moment does not allow for interpretation. Interpretation services will resume as soon as conditions allow.
Ces demandes-là vont être traitées là, les unes après les autres et on va pouvoir
Je comprends, Madame la ministre.
confirmer ça au fur et à mesure dans les prochaines semaines. Et si vous ne voyez pas le budget, c'est parce que ça fait partie du budget de la ministre Qualtrough du ministère de l'Emploi et il y a une portion de ce programme qui est administré par Agri-Food Canada.
Mais vous serez d'accord avec moi, Madame la ministre, qu'il y aura...
But you agree with me that we're at mid-June now, and it's important that these jobs be available so that, firstly, if young people wish to apply, they will be able to do so. You know how hard farm work is. In 3 weeks, we'll be 3 weeks too late, unfortunately, and you know this because you live in a rural riding just like I do. Sound quality at the moment does not allow for interpretation.
C'est le travail au champ, lui, c'est à ce moment-ci qu'il...
Spending, but right now people are at work in the fields. As for spending and research budgets, what grant or contribution will be transferred? The Canadian Food Inspection Agency has $16 million that was transferred to the management budget. Unfortunately, we went over time. I have to be quite strict because we're already a little late. Minister, could you wear your headset, please? Could you put it back on, if possible?
Merci, Monsieur le Président, quand même. Vous avez sûrement...
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm sure you're keeping good track of the time. Yes, someone's doing it for me. Mr. Chair, can you hear me now? Yes, I hear you much better. Interpreters? Tim Lewis, you have 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Chair, and thanks, colleagues, and thank you, Minister Bibeau. Before I even get to you, I wanted to also thank the interpreters for their patience and just let everybody know it's important for them to protect their hearing. That's their life, and as a former musician, I understand that bad sound can make all the difference. So be careful out there. Minister Bibeau, thanks again for being here. I wanted to start with temporary farm workers. Temporary farm workers are important in rural Canada, and in my riding in Kitchener-Conestoga, there's many businesses and farms that rely on temporary farm workers. So with COVID-19 and the quarantine, I know there are specific health guidelines that require a quarantine for 14 days and that there are costs associated to this. So Minister, can you tell me about the investments our government have made to help farms and businesses address these challenges, please?
Thank you, Mr. Lewis, and I understand that this is an issue very important for you and Conestoga. Yes, it's these workers are essential workers, the foreign temporary workers in the agri world, in our farms and our processing facilities. So this is why to help them, help the producers put in place the right measures to protect the workers while during their 14-day isolation period, they can get $1,500 per worker.
Perfect. Yes, and I've talked to many farms in my riding, businesses like Fennings Farm in Wilmot right here, who are able to make use of this, and it's amazing to see how resourceful farmers are and how much they care. I know this added cost is worth taking on. They're treating their temporary farm workers like family to them. These are people that come back year after year. So I know it's appreciated, and the resourcefulness should be noted because it's a hard task. So I appreciate that. Maybe we talked about worker safety. So I know that the federal government is also providing, I believe, $77.7 million for food processing sector. Can you give some examples of what those funds are going to be used for to protect workers and that at the same time maintain production capability?
Yeah, thank you. So you're right. It's for both. It is to put in place the right measures to make sure that the workers have a safe environment and also increase the processing capacity. For example, they can have, added sanitation and security requirements. adjustments to current processes in manufacturing line to accommodate social distancing, or equipment such as safety barriers. So there's quite a number of things that they can do, they can buy, they can put in place to protect their employees and be as efficient as possible.
Yeah, and I've heard that again in my writing as well. Conestoga Meats is responsible for about, I think, 40% of the pork processing in Ontario, and the measures they took right away to protect their workers. It not only every Canadian has a right to safety and a healthy workplace, but it also helps with production. So I know that's much appreciated as well. Maybe also in that the vein, we could talk about Canadian Food Inspection Agency and the investments that you made, $20 million into the in the supplementary estimates are in there. Can you expand on that as well?
Yes. So from the beginning, we knew that our inspectors are normal people. They have to go. They are essential workers as well, and it was a challenge for them also to continue their essential work. So we wanted to be sure that we would have the resources to respond to the demand, and this demand could have been, and is even more important because, for example, some plants who are seeing a decrease in their capacity are extending their hours of work. So it requires more inspectors. So we wanted to be sure that we would have enough inspectors. So we have hired back some inspectors who had retired recently. We have trained some other staff who had the qualification but needed a specific training within the organization. We have put in place agreement with Alberta and Ontario to share resources as well. So training some provincial inspectors. So it was very important to respond to the demand while we were protecting our inspectors as well, because it's very important for us to offer them a safe environment.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Right on time. Now we'll go to Ms. Leanne Rood for 5 minutes. Go ahead, Ms. Rood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Minister, I had the opportunity to ask you a question in the House the other day, and I didn't get an answer, so I'd like to ask the question again to you today. Canadian ginseng farmers are facing some real trouble right now. They've lost their export market to China, so I'm just wondering if you've spoken to your Chinese counterpart to remedy the situation, or what concrete actions your government's going to take to help these farmers.
Yes, I understand that the ginseng is a unique commodity. And that the sector is, as many others, facing very important challenges. So the programs we have, like
Monsieur le Président.
Oh,
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry to interrupt, but for the last 3 interventions, we haven't been getting interpretation because the quality of the sound does not allow interpretation. This is a problem because we'll be asking questions in French. If I don't call a point of order, I think my Anglophones colleagues will be doing it. And so let's check. Do we have to try something else? Well, if it's not too much of a problem, could we suspend once again and we'll try again? One last time, perhaps, to try to resolve the technical issue. Thank you. I'm going to suspend so we can fix these problems. Thank you.
I won't be able to stay much longer.
Ms. Rood, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Oh, okay, so 4 minutes and 16 seconds. Go ahead.
She didn't answer the question, though, before we were interrupted. So I only got my question in. If she could answer the question, that would be great.
Okay, allez-y, Madame la Ministre.
Minister?
That the ginseng sector is facing, difficult challenges right now. But the program that we are first putting in place programs that will respond to the greater number of businesses, like, for example, the Canadian Emergency Business Account, $670 million in direct transfer to the producers. I'm not talking about the loans, but just the forgivable part.
So there isn't, Minister, sorry to interrupt, so there isn't something tangible for ginseng farmers in particular. We're just talking very broad strokes here right now.
Yes, they would apply. They would have to apply to the general programs, BRM and CEBA, for example.
Okay, thank you. Last week at this committee, we passed a motion that asked your department to produce specific statistics on Agri-Invest. And we understand that some of this information has since been provided to some journalists, yet this committee hasn't seen it. So I'm just wondering, are you able to provide the same information to this committee that was provided to the journalists?
Yes, actually, I think I've said that in my speech. So the average amount that is in the account of the producers is $25,000. Potato is $93,000. And give me one more second. I'm trying to get my my figures. So this is, well, I would have to go back to the speech to get more details, but this is something that we can, okay, I have it here. So yes, the average is $25,000, horticulture $25,000, grains and oilseed $33,000, and potato $93,000.
Okay. Minister, you said last month that farmers need to use BRM programs before the federal government can give them any more financial support. And earlier today, and we've heard you say that some of these cuts were from a previous Conservative government, but that's because to ag stability, because we moved it from 85 to 70%, because this program just simply was paying into profitability for some producers rather than helping farmers stabilize their income. And in fact, the Liberals made cuts to the programs into our Agri-Invest programs and reducing contributions. So I'm just wondering, Minister, farmers have said these programs don't work for them. So is there no additional federal support coming for the agriculture sector at this time?
I'm sorry, but I have a hard time to understand your point. So you're telling me that the Conservative government has cut in the Agri-Stability program and in the Agri-Invest program, and I'm telling you that these programs still exist, they're working, but they're not at the level that the producers would want them to. So I'm sorry, but I don't get your point.
I'm asking you, is there any additional federal support coming for the agriculture sector at this time?
We are still working with the most affected sectors, and stay tuned.
All right. Well, farmers are telling me that the $252 million that's been announced so far is just not good enough. And we've seen already established that over half of the package was old announcements. So how many farmers have you spoken to that think that this amount of federal funding is sufficient?
From the date that we have announced the $252 million, we have also made modification to the CEBA account, the Canadian Emergency Business Account, and it means $670 million in direct funding to producers. And I'm not talking about the loans, I'm only talking about additional direct funding to producers.
Okay, farmers have been told to get BRM money because it will be easier for them to make the case for more money for agriculture. But farmers have told us that it takes years for their BRM claims to be paid. So how will you be able to provide more help to farmers now during the pandemic when they need it if they can't find out if they're getting BRM money for years?
They can get 75% in advance in almost every provinces within a month or so.
Thank you, Madame la Ministre. Thank you, Mr. Rood. We'll now go to Mr. Blois for 5 minutes. Go ahead, Mr. Blois.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Minister, and to our other guests for being here today. Minister, you were asked a series of questions at the beginning of the panel that I want to give you the opportunity to address, because I think I don't want to use the word misleading, but sometimes Canadians that are watching it might not always know. There's been a lot of narrative around new money, and I asked you this last time that you were on the committee. The money that went, for example, the $125 million that went to agri-recovery to support beef farmers and pork producers, that was not money that would have normally flown from government in this given year. Is that correct?
Well, the way it works with the business risk management program is that I have a roof. I have a maximum amount of money that that can respond to the needs. And for agri-recovery, this cap is $125 million per year. But on an average year, for the last 5 years, for example, the average was $15 million. So it's hard to say it's new, it's not new, but if you compare with previous years, it's significantly more.
Right. So as I understand it, the money is allocated in the budget, but not always spent. And obviously, our government is spending this money to ensure that farmers and producers have the support that they need.
Exactly.
I want to go to the piece on the price on pollution. Mr. Barlow has raised this quite often in our committee. I asked you this last time, but for the benefit of Canadians watching into our committee proceedings or anyone else, in the relationship and the stakeholder arrangements that you've had with individuals, you've mentioned that you've been working very closely with industry stakeholders. Has that been a predominant theme in terms of their request to you? Has that been the main focus of what they want you to respond to right now?
No, this is not the main focus of our discussions.
Okay, it gets raised a lot, and I think that's an important note to have on the record. I want to move to the local food infrastructure fund. This is of interest to certainly my riding in Kings Hants in Nova Scotia. We have many folks that are interested in trying to develop the local food sector. Obviously, we've had the first round of funding. You mentioned the second round is coming. How best would I encourage someone from my riding that is interested in accessing this fund? How would I get them to go about trying to apply for this?
Well, there's kind of two different levels of application they can make, even if it's not divided this way. But you have a small organization who need to buy a refrigerator, for example. They can get money from the local food infrastructure fund. But if you have a few organizations working together where they want to improve their organizations, they want to partner with the grocery, with the restaurant, with the producers, for example, and they want to put in place a food system within their community. This is the time, because they could get money for infrastructure and equipment, but they also can get the money to put in place a web online platform, for example, or other type of support that will last through the years. The only thing that is not really eligible within this program would be expenses that would come over and over each and every year.
It's timing. Your timing in mentioning about the online platform. You weren't here obviously last committee meeting, Minister, but we had Ted Hutton from my riding who had talked about how the demand right now for local food is significant, and his online platform has allowed him to pivot his business to ensure that he's been able to try to mitigate some of the challenges that we're facing. And I know Mr. McGregor had asked about government support to ensure that small processors have those means to be able to access online programming and to build their capacity. So I'm happy to hear that that's part of our plan. And just to remind folks on the committee, I wasn't here prior to 2019, but we're the first government in history that has introduced a food policy to try to address some of these challenges, correct?
Absolutely. It's the first ever food policy that we've launched last June.
Last question I want to leave with you. I have about 30 seconds, Minister Bibeau. It's not in the estimates. The piece around the Canadian Dairy Commission. This is huge in my riding. We have the most supply managed farms east of Quebec. The $200 million for the Canadian Dairy Commission. It's not in the estimates. I'm not an accountant. Maybe that's for good reason. But can you explain how influential that program is, and perhaps elaborate on that?
This is very important for the Canadian dairy producers. And actually, with the supply management system, they have this capacity to organize themselves, to manage better their supply. And through the Canadian Dairy Commission, they have this this program, and we have improved it.
Merci,
Thank
Madame
you,
la
Minister.
Ministre. Et il nous reste juste un petit 5 minutes. Alors,
We've got 5 minutes left for the round. We'll go to Ms. Desbiens for 5 minutes to close out the round. Well, thank you, Minister, for staying on. I'll be giving Mr. Perron my second question, but I would like to ask a question with respect to accessibility to the programs. Now, oftentimes what we're hearing out on the field is that producers want to seek out assistance, but they're always excluded because of a couple of criteria, and then the money stays in the government coffers. So I'd like to hear you whether or not there will be an easing up of restrictions surrounding accessibility. Answer. I think it's important to have rules, criteria, because we need to manage public funding properly. But we've got the emergency business account that we launched quickly to enable companies to receive a $40,000 loan with a potential $10,000 that's forgivable. That's for entrepreneurs and producers, for agricultural producers. That could represent up to $670 million for agricultural producers. We've set up a special fund as well through the development corporations. Well, Minister, that means higher debt. Some of them can't indebt themselves even more. But I'll give Mr. Perron the remainder of the time for some questions. Thank you, Minister. Well, yes, thank you, Minister, and thank you for your perseverance with the technology. I have a question about Agri-Invest. Now, we often hear you say that you wanted to encourage producers to use that funding, but all of the witnesses we've heard here to date have said that Agri-Invest was for investing, but it wasn't for bailouts. It's like asking someone to empty their bank account before seeking out assistance. So what would you say to those people who are saying that? They're saying that the average amounts in the accounts are there for some, but not everyone has funding available. There are 4 main business risk programs. There's agri-stability for significant losses, agri-recovery when there is a significant increase in costs. Yes, but no, I think it's important to put things in perspective here, said the Minister. Agri-insurance is for natural disasters, and Agri-Invest is to help compensate for small fluctuations. It's something they have access to quickly. Every year they put $10,000 in, for example. The government contributes 10, and it's a bit of a buffer, if you will, or a cushion. That's what that account is used for. Half of it comes from the government. So that's how the programs are designed. Thank you. Thank you, Minister, and thank you, Mr. Perron.
Alistair McGregor for 2.5 minutes. Go ahead, Mr. McGregor.
Great. Thank you very much, Chair. Minister, I guess I want to thank you, first of all, in your opening remarks for acknowledging the temporary foreign workers who unfortunately died as a result of COVID-19. I can only imagine what's going on for their families far away from here in Canada and the pain that they're suffering. But I want to link this also to the federal program that's available. Now we all know in this committee and producers know there's $1,500 available to producers to make accommodations for their workers to help self-isolate in this quarantine period. So far, we've had 2 workers who have died. There are numerous outbreaks happening in Southern Ontario at several farms. I'm wondering, Minister, as it relates to the program that offers $1,500 to producers, is your department analyzing whether this is in fact enough money? Are producers in fact getting enough support to properly isolate workers? Like how are you taking feedback from these outbreaks, and will you be modifying the program appropriately? Like, are other measures needed, in other words?
It's I don't have the right words in English, but I mean it's very sad that we have lost two workers on COVID, and I know that others are sick. But as far as I know, the isolation period is going very well. The good measures are put in place, and the collaboration of the local public health is there. And it's more the risks are higher within the community. So this is something that we take very seriously, and I'm working closely with my colleagues, the Minister of Health, the Minister of Employment, the Minister of Immigration, and myself. We're trying to see what else we can do to support and to, and it's a shared responsibility with the provinces, with the obviously the employers. They have to take their responsibilities, but we care a lot for these essential farmers, workers, as we care for Canadians, and we want to be sure that they have a safe place to work.
Alors, thank you, Mr. McGregor. Just hang on a second here. Alors, Madame la Ministre, je vous remercie pour votre patience, pour avoir.
Minister, thank you for staying with us. And it's unfortunate we had some technical problems, but thank you very much for being with us. And we'll see you back before the group another time. We'll now continue with the departmental officials. There will be a subcommittee meeting following this as well. So we'll continue with the questioning, and we'll go to Mr. Soroka. You have 5 minutes. Please proceed.
Chair. Canada's Supply Food Purchase Program, a $50 million fund, was supposed to help and redistribute existing and unsold inventories. This was announced on May 5th. Being over a month later, this program is still not active during the most critical time for farmers. Matt Hempel with Potatoes New Brunswick says time is running out for the growers. How much longer will producers have to wait before they see any glimpse of this program being available to them?
I think, as the minister said, we're hopeful to provide some of the details in the coming days on the program, but we've certainly been engaged extensively with the sector as we've developed it.
Yes, but you understand when you're dealing with these commodities, there's a limited time frame on them. And so I think when they were announced over a month ago, people were like quite excited that they finally could sell their product, but now they can't even sell it yet. And there's very big concerns about this.
Yeah, no, we've heard clearly from producers across the country, from different commodity groups, and we've certainly been working with them as well as with the food bank sector. And as I said, and as the minister said, we're hopeful. Well, in fact, the plan is in the coming days that the details will be provided. So we understand the urgency, and we've been hearing that directly too.
Okay, there are an estimated 200 million pounds of Canadian French fry potatoes stuck in storage. One mushroom farm from Osgood, Ontario, had to stem off 20,000 pounds of mushrooms last month alone. That didn't begin to account for the additional commodities. How many pounds of food will this $50 million fund buy? And how much of that money will be allocated to transportation of these goods and not directly to the farmers facing the loss of these products?
Well, it'll depend a little bit on exactly. We'll look to the sector to provide us with potential approaches to manage commodities and products. We'll hopefully find the most effective use of the $50 million. That's certainly our plan.
Yes, but you see our concern. A lot of times they bring up how this money is allocated, but yet it doesn't necessarily go directly to farmers.
Well, certainly in this, I think, as you know, our goal is twofold in this, right? One is to get the surplus products out of storage, off farmers' books, or if it's in processor storage, same thing. We want to get this basically the inventory that's cost people money and is costing people money, and redirect it to people who need it. So we are trying to meet both goals, and that really is our objective.
Yeah, that's been a big concern for us as well, to make sure it gets out there. One of the things that I've been kind of curious about is how much control does the officials, the minister, in comparison to the administration have, or how much input does administration have towards assisting the minister with decisions then in this department?
Well, as with all departments, I mean, officials in the public service provide ministers with advice on policy direction. We obviously we are not decision makers in the overall policy setting. We implement as directed by government. Now, in the the administration of specific programs, that sits with ourselves and also with the minister, depending on the size and scale. It can depend.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to know because it seems like there's times when the minister doesn't seem to be as informed as she could be. And I'll even speak on the Agri-Recovery Fund. We know that there was that money allocated, every year of the 125 million. I don't care if the money was spent on whether a disease was the issue or whatever, flooding. The point is that money is always there, ready to be used. It hasn't been allocated in the past, so therefore that's really not new money. And at the start, they keep announcing it's new money. So that's one of my concerns is I think that's misinformation that's being put out there.
So this came up at the previous committee appearance of mine, and I must admit that I feel that this is new money. I mean, it's not money that we would have spent. The government normally in agri-recovery, in fact, waits for provinces to launch agri-recovery programs. It's the provincial government that unlock it. Or start the process, and in this case, we went out and made.
Yes, but I mean, if you had $100 million sitting in the bank every year and you've never spent it, you've still got $100 million since 2008. Let's say, if you spend a little bit each year, then you only top that up each year. So don't be saying that it's brand new money when it is not brand new money. It's always sitting there since 2008.
Well, I may have to. I mean, my perspective would be if money is incremental in the sense that it was not spent last year. To me, that is new. That's additional money, if you like. I don't. You may disagree with me, and that's certainly fine. But I guess my perspective would be that's incremental funding. It's new money. We didn't spend that money last year.
Okay. So on the carbon tax side of things, where is the money, the numbers that are actually coming from? Did you take like the 60,000 farmers that are across Canada and just divide the money that was used in the carbon costs for grain drying, for instance, which then you're actually manipulating the numbers? Is that a factor of how you actually determined how it was such a small percentage to grain farmers when you included poultry, dairy, everyone in there at the same mix?
So, Mr. Soroka, I'm going to have to cut you off. If you notice, I gave you an extra minute, and I'm going to give an extra minute. No problem. No, I didn't.
Thank you for that.
Intentionally, I'm going to give everybody else an extra minute, and it'll take us to the hour after the third round.
Can I respond or no?
No.
Okay.
You can respond maybe if somebody else wants you to continue on that line. Now, Monsieur Drouin, 6 minutes. Allez-y.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I feel generous. I will allow you some time to respond to that particular question.
There you go.
Thanks. Thanks. So two things that we did. I think we've done some modeling before a couple of years ago on the overall impacts of the carbon price as best we could, and those are on our website. In the specific case of the grain drying, we've done some internal modeling, but the results that are quoted come from submissions from a number of groups, the Grain Farmers of Ontario, I think it's Keystone Agriculture in Manitoba, APAS in Saskatchewan, and the government of Alberta. Slightly different estimates, and that's why we come up with a range. But it does. It's based on it's grain farmers. It's not an attempt. There's no kind of a broader number of farms included there.
Thank you for that response. And my question will be for CFI. I've noticed in the supplementary estimates A that there's 20 million allocated. I'm just wondering what that particular what $20 million will be used for.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Chair. As the minister noted in her remarks, as the processing sector was going through some difficulties, now they're coming back. They're trying to go through the backlog of animals that arose as the processing capacity went down. So the agency is going to be using the investment to pay for extra shifts and overtime so that we can keep the processing plants moving and clear the backlog. It's also going to let us hire back some retirees and get some surge capacity into the agency, so that we won't be a bottleneck, so that we can support these extra shifts, and that we can also make sure that we're taking care of our employees at the same time. And then we're going to be using some of the resources to work with the provinces to share inspection capacity. So sometimes they need us to help them, sometimes they're able to help us out. And
je m'excuse d'interrompre la témoin. Je suis désolée, mais on doit absolument avoir une interprétation en français.
Ah, excusez. Si je comprends bien, on n'entend pas la traduction française. C'est ça, Madame Desbiens? Monsieur le greffier, est-ce qu'on peut vérifier?
Oui, on peut vérifier ça.
Je pense que le mal du réseau est généralisé.
Oui, c'est ça. Il y a comme une sorte de sortilège là, par rapport à cette réunion-ci que je ne suis pas certain qu'on peut maîtriser, mais je me renseigne avec l'équipe technique et on vous revient. Merci.
Avec mes expériences de musicienne, je pense que c'est dans le fil.
C'est dans le fil, hein? Oui, j'entends toujours un bruit indépendant de qui parle.
Ça craque, en fait.
Oui, ça craque toujours, oui.
C'est la faute de M. Perron.
Oh, ben là.
C'est sûr que oui.
Je pense qu'il a dit. Non, je ne vais pas répéter qu'est-ce que. Non, je vais me tenir. Je vais rien dire.
Monsieur le Président, on est en attente. On est suspendu, là?
D'ailleurs, on ne l'est pas, là. Fait que je vais suspendre.
OK. Mais mes questions ou pas, là?
Non, on a arrêté le temps, là. Oui. Pour ça, on a arrêté le temps, là. Oui. On sauvegarde le temps.
Okay, Ms. Barnes, can we ask you to move your microphone back down toward your mouth?
Mr. Chair. I would like to ask a question to the CFIA, and then I will share my time with my colleague, give my colleague the floor, rather. My question is for Ms. Barnes. You spoke of the collaboration with provinces and the province inspectors. Could you tell the committee what collaboration has taken place between the provinces and you since the beginning of the crisis?
We've been working with the provinces to make sure we can share capacity. So provinces have meat plants, and there are federally registered meat plants as well. So, given that we're trying to work together in this space, we are reaching great agreements so that our inspectors can go to the provincial plants and provincial inspectors can come to ours. So that involves a little bit of training on both sides so that we can make sure that everybody knows what they have to do in plants. So that's a big area of collaboration. Another is on the area of meat shortages. So we've been working closely with the provinces. If there is a shortage of meat, we've now put in place a protocol that would allow meat from provincially regulated establishments to move across provinces. And that way, if we ever have a shortage, we've got another source of supply potentially. So those are two big areas of collaboration.
Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You can now give the floor to my colleague. Thank you, Monsieur Drouin. Very generous.
Mr. Lawrence for, at least 5 minutes. Go ahead, Ms. Lawrence.
Thank you very much. And I would just like to turn back to my colleagues' questions on the carbon tax. So first off, the minister said that the cost of the carbon tax was between $200 and $800. Many of our producers have said that it's more in the neighborhood of $2,000 or $5,000 or even $8,000. These are respected organizations. Could you explain the discrepancy?
Thanks for the question. Yeah, my take, without having looked at individual producers' bills and looking at the averages and the overall numbers we got from some of the producer groups and also from our own work, is that this is probably a question of the average. There'll obviously be people above and below the average. So when we talk about numbers, we've often talked about them in terms of a share of operating expense, because obviously a larger farm is going to have higher operating expenses and higher costs.
Even in percentage terms, for example, Saskatchewan producers have noted that their cost was over 8%. And that is quite a bit off, which is actually more than what the greenhouse is, the 7%. And the minister said the reason why the greenhouse operators were given a more generous was because of their percentage. But Saskatchewan has said that theirs is actually over 8%. Could you comment on that?
Well, so I'd have to look at, I don't have that Saskatchewan number in front of me. The numbers that we're talking about did come, at least some of them came from the Agriculture Producers Association of Saskatchewan, so they should be consistent. Greenhouse growers will, just because energy costs, as you know, would be much higher for a greenhouse producer overall. I mean, the reason for the exemption was that energy costs as a share of overall expenses were I think in the range of 30% or more for greenhouses, and much lower than that for most of their farms, just the nature of greenhouses, obviously.
Do you know the number of the amount of producers that what percentage was over 7%?
Of grain producers?
Yes, exactly.
No, because I'm not familiar with the 7% number, to be honest with you. I'd have to look at that.
Okay, do you know the number that was above the average?
Well, again, that's why we have a number of, a range of operating expenses. I'd have to go back and see if we have, but they're obviously, I mean, in theory, there's going to be a number that are going to be above and a number that'll be below, right? There should be fewer as a straight average. There'll be more that are below than are above.
Yeah, my concern is that quite a few of the producers might be above average, and that these, as we've seen the numerous bills, and I could show you email upon email, that average is actually not telling the story, and the carbon tax is actually causing quite a large damage. And so, what I'd really ask for is all this information, the report that you've produced and given the minister, is that all public?
So there's a report that's public from like 2 years ago that's on our website, which I believe we've shared with the committee. The grain estimates here are not anything we've publicly put out, but we certainly, I think there's been a request by the committee to produce more information, which we will of course follow up on. And personally, if I'd say if there is more information. We've tried to normalize numbers versus operating expenses again, because the numbers, that should help take care of the fact that a larger farm will obviously, from grain drying, have much higher expenses than a smaller farm will, right? So we've tried to normalize it as a share of operating expenses, but maybe there are some factors that ourselves and the information we've had from stakeholders.
Okay, so when can we expect that report?
We'll get it to you as quickly. I'm in front of me at the timelines, but I would say certainly our goal is to have material to the committee as quickly as possible. I mean, I'd certainly like to say days to you, because I understand the request, and it's an important one.
Do you know what the total cost of the carbon tax is to agriculture?
Do I have a number in front of me? I'd have to go back. I mean, we've exempted sort of a big chunk of the direct costs, obviously, as the minister went through. I don't have a number in front of me of the direct costs, and of course, there's then the amounts that would flow back through some of the the dollars that are returned to taxpayers from the carbon price, because there's a refund that matches the revenues.
So we don't know what the total cost of the carbon tax is.
Sorry, what I was trying to say is I don't have the number in front of me.
Okay, so can you get that number for us?
I can give you an estimate of what we would be able to pull out from data of the carbon price paid or the pollution price paid by farms. Yeah, I think we could do an estimate of that.
And understanding that we're a very forgiving opposition here, would you care to estimate whether for farms in general, for the agriculture, the carbon tax is revenue neutral?
Well, so that's revenue neutral overall. Is it revenue neutral for every individual? In some cases, it's up to how the province determines.
I apologize for interrupting, but within the agriculture sector. So if we looked at the farms, or we even just looked at the grain growers, is it revenue neutral for them?
I'd have to check. I don't have that in front of me. Okay. I'd have to check.
Is it fair to say that the cost is in the total cost of carbon tax for the agriculture sector is in the hundreds of millions of dollars?
I would be surprised by a number of that size, but I would have to, like I said, I don't have it in front of me, so I don't want to get into speculation, but that seems high.
Thank you, Mr. Forbes, and thank you, Mr. Lawrence. And we'll go to Mr. Ellis for 5 and some minutes. Go ahead. You're still on mute, Mr. Ellis.
Can you hear me now?
Sure. Yeah, good.
When we talk about the U.S. and global marketplace, we know our importance of competitiveness. We've lowered taxes. We've introduced the accelerated investment incentive, which allows farmers and producers to write off 3 times the deductible amount in their first year. On purchase of new machinery equipment. What programs in relation to COVID-19 compared to Canadian programs?
I'm sorry, that cut out for me in the middle. I apologize. I'm not sure I got part of it, but not all of it.
So I guess the end of the question would be, can you elaborate on U.S. BRM programs in relation to COVID-19 compared to Canadian?
So in Canada, a couple of things that we've done. We obviously have in place the BRM suite. The minister went through that, I think, including obviously agri-stability, which does have in nature a kind of what I would call a counter-cyclical aspect, in the sense that if it's a difficult year, payments would go up, because it's kind of a safety net. It's sort of akin in some sense to something like employment insurance, in the sense that if it's a worse year, it'll respond naturally. So we would expect in a difficult year that to happen. The U.S. Programming suite is a bit different, and obviously they have some ad hoc programs, but not the level of base BRM support that Canada has.
Thank you. Social distance requirements will make traditional farmers markets, roadside stands difficult this year, resulting in reduced access to such things as honey, maple syrup, fruits, and vegetables. Has there been any talk with the province or yourselves with any avenues of distribution that we can achieve in these COVID-19 times?
Mm-hmm. So I think a couple of things. I mean, one, in discussions with the provinces and with stakeholders, I think we're already seeing some innovation in terms of how stakeholders are delivering products, and farmers markets are a fine example. For some of them have already gone online, individual farms or farmers markets. And I think, as the minister said, we're working with the Food Infrastructure Fund to try to support some of those kinds of investments for producers and markets. So yeah, we're working, I would say, to try and support innovation that will get more food from farms to consumers.
And my one last question is on the extension of farm credit lending capacity. How has the uptake been for that, and where are we at with that program?
So that's largely the $5 billion that was announced in the early days, late March. That's largely, I think, been subscribed. It's a lot of take up across the sector for deferral of existing credit. So not adding new debt so much as giving farmers and food processors relief on existing lines of credit.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis, and we'll go to Monsieur. Just a second. Monsieur Perron, on va étirer le 2 minutes et demie à au moins 3 minutes. Allez-y.
You've got 3 minutes. Please go ahead. Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's much appreciated. Thank you to our witnesses. Thank you for bearing with us with our technical difficulties. Mr. Forbes, I'd like to know what you think about Agri-Invest and what I was asking the minister earlier on. We heard witnesses here, and they were saying that Agri-Invest is to invest, to modernize, and we all know that not everybody has amounts of money in those accounts. What is the situation today? Should we ask people to use their savings before we actually help them? Agri-Invest is one of our BRM programs. So it's there for difficult situations and emergencies, as the minister was saying. We have programs to meet needs in cases of emergency or difficulty. And then there's the provinces, because it's cost shared with provinces. It's there to help producers in difficult situations when they need funding. About $3 billion is what we're talking about. Thank you. And what can you tell us about conditions or criteria for those people who want the compensation for foreign workers? Producers have been telling us that we're asking of them to provide proof and bills, but at the beginning it was announced as an amount per foreign worker. What's the situation? I'm a bit surprised by that, because we really tried to make it light. What we ask of producers is that to provide a few things, like what are the types of defenses to make sure that they're admissible. Is what we do, generally speaking. But it would be really surprising if people were telling you that administratively it was really complicated, because we're trying to make it simple. So it should be simple. I think that Caroline may have a question that she'd like to ask. Mr. Forbes, thank you for being here. I'm worried about food banks, because we think that the CERB is going to come to an end, and therefore more and more people are going to be going to food banks. So with regard to the criteria for the local food infrastructure fund, what is the situation? As I said, with $50 million, there are two objectives for producers that have surplus food, and the second objective is to make sure that this food is given to consumers who actually need it. So we want it to be quick, and we want the process to be efficient. That's our objective. Well, maybe the SERP could actually be prolonged. Thank you, Ms. Desbiens.
3 minutes, more or less. Go ahead. Not less,
Thank you.
more.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Forbes, I was wondering, I know you've got some figures before you on what the uptake has been for the various COVID-19 related programs, but on behalf of the department, would you be able to table the exact figures with the committee, just, you know, how many dollars have been accessed by how many producers and so on? Because I mean, we could go through the motions of putting forward a request for those papers, but I'm just wondering if you could just do that on your own volition.
Yeah, I'd say we've already had actually happy to provide updates. I would suggest certainly from our end. It's early on some of them, and they'll roll out. Obviously, even the ones that are launched, it takes time to take applications and so forth. And we've already had, I think, a request from the parliamentary budget officer for similar information. So there may be a way of assuring ourselves that gets that the same material is shared.
And I just wanted to ask about the transfer in the estimates that you've made from the science and innovation operating expenditures, just over $16 million. I've had the honor of visiting one of the research stations in British Columbia. They do fantastic work. I'm just wondering, like, how's that going to affect the number of staff you have and their ability to do this really important work?
So absolutely not affecting the research agenda or staff in any way. The goal here really was to look at in the kind of extraordinary times where, for example, travel budgets, international conferences, right? Nobody's going to those. Some of our field research has been slowed down just because of respecting physical distancing on site, right? We can't just have the same number of people moving through. So we looked at our budget and said, there's money here that we don't think we can spend. We're very comfortable. That's not happy, but we're very comfortable that this money would otherwise lapse because of, again, things like travel would be the most obvious that just won't happen, right? And so we want to use this money to get it into the hands of the sector. So that's what we've done. But we certainly aren't creating any restrictions on our expenditures otherwise, that, if people want to undertake projects and they can do it in the context of public health guidance. If when travel resumes, people are going to, if conferences open up, there'll be no restrictions in that way. It's just.
And were there no ongoing projects that might have been able to use maybe an increase in funding?
There are for sure, and we've given ourselves. We're certainly not. I guess when we looked at this, we've got flexibility still within our budget to make sure that can happen. This was really looking at stuff that we just didn't think we would otherwise be able to spend, and we just didn't, quite honestly, want to be in a position of lapsing that money and not using it for the benefit of the sector at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, and that takes us to the end of this meeting. I want to thank from the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, Ms. Barnes, Vice President of Policy Program, Dominic Osterrath, Financial Officer, and also from Department of Agriculture, Mr. Chris Forbes, thank you, and Ms. Christine Walker. So thank you all. That's in. I want to remind our vice chairs that we do have another short meeting after this one. We shall break for 15 minutes. You have to disconnect and then reconnect again. You've all received the password. So Francis, John, and Alistair, and Monsieur Perron, we're all going to see you in 15. Okay, so thank you, everyone, and meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bonne fin de journée à tous.
Bonjour et merci. Merci, Monsieur le greffier. Vous avez été
you.